The antidote to the antidote for social media.
I like your little stylus. It's very cute.
1,000 times true. Yes.
I know you do.
Are those better than?
New to the interest for us to explore.
Right, so we're gonna get ready. About 2 minutes.
Okay.
In about 2 minutes, we're gonna get everybody to go. And then I'll admit everybody and then we'll kind of start.
How many people do you know?
3. So yeah, it's pretty good in terms of getting people on there with no registration.
Not just like a bunch of all these bakeries. But that said,
I like the concept, I like the letters.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one that she wants to put them up places. Okay.
I like it.
so it's three sessions.
Take it over tomorrow.
Those are like
So she's actually.
it's all like exploring Mario. Where you come up, like
Thank you for filling in the words. You've changed my life.
You knew that.
I did know it, but I always forget about it. I'm not a plastics person, I'm an air person. So I always forget about the cool little lingo the plastics folks use.
Hey. All right, we're gonna get started in a couple minutes, so whenever you're ready, just give me a signal and I'll count you down.
Is it okay? Should we start right at 6 or do you want to start like now-ish? Or should we just sort of start softball at the beginning or what do you prefer?
I'll admit everybody at 5:59 and then we'll kind of get started. So when I admit people, I'll just let you know, I'll give you a thumbs up and then
Okay, that sounds great.
go. Forget we're up to 7.
What'd you say? Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. Welcome to our Sustainability Speaker Series here at the Highland Park Public Library. My name is Kelly Nichols. I ended my term with the Sustainability Advisory Group in December after serving 8 years. I was the chair. I was the vice chair, and I also served as a member on the Sustainability Advisory Group during my time there. And this is one of the last projects that I'm doing with the Sustainability Advisory Group as a member, before I just become a volunteer and a helper and someone who comes and complains to Jay at meetings and then and tries to change the world in other ways in Highland Park. And I really appreciate everyone coming virtually and in person to join us to talk today about the Hefty ReNew Program and some of the different nuances that have to do with it and just more information about it. And it's me from the City of Highland Park Sustainability Advisory Group tonight, and we have Jenny Futterman coming from the Go Green Highland Park as well. As I mentioned, that's our speakers, as you can see on the slide deck. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what the ReNew program is and some of the pros and cons of the ReNew program. I'm sure many of you in this room know, but we're kind of going to give an overview for people who don't or kind of have some sort of 101 level questions about what single-use plastics are. And then we're also going to have a Q&A about questions that you have about single-use plastics or the ReNew program or some of the other ins and outs of plastics recycling. We're going to answer them to the best of our abilities. And when I say we, probably a lot of it will be Jenny, because as we were just discussing, my wheelhouse is air pollution and Jenny knows a lot about waste and plastic. So we're happy to talk about any of those things. And we can't wait to give you guys some more information tonight. So just a brief overview of how the Hefty ReNew program works. Basically, you use their bag, which is an orange bag. You put things in it that are typically hard to recycle plastics, like the kind of film that covers your toilet paper packages, or like the kind of bags that your baby spinach comes in, or cereal bags, things like that. Styrofoam, and you put it in that plastic bag. You add it to your recycling, or you can also drop it off. But here in Highland Park, LRS and SWALCO have made an arrangement with Hefty so that you can add the bag to your recycling stream that we already have as part of pickup here in Highland Park. It's then sorted at our recycling facilities that we already use with our refuse providers, and then I didn't put this together, by the way, this is from Hefty's website. It is processed into valued resources, okay? And those can look different depending upon what the need is. And a lot of times that can look like composite plastics. Like the examples they show here are the kind of like composites that are used to build like plastic bricks or composite decking, or the kind of composites they have in that little Adirondack chair picture that are made of like compressed plastics that used to be waste plastics. So the idea of the basic process is that you take all the stuff you can't typically recycle that ends up in the stream of garbage. You put it in the bag, you drop it in the bin, and it gets renewed into things like park benches, which sounds really great, doesn't it? It sounds amazing. And the thing about it is that it helps keep things out of the refuse stream that would typically either jam up the system or that can't be recycled. And it's supposed to, I think it's also supposed to help sort of add a level of additional sorting that people can go through when they throw away their garbage. They can also determine other things that they pull out and recycle. I think it's sort of to add a level of consciousness as well. Of course, that's me anecdotally reporting back on what I observed from the presentation from the Hefty representatives in SWALCO. But the more we pay attention to what we take out of our actual waste stream, the more we pay attention to what all of the things that we are meant to take out of our waste stream. So I think that's part of what they hope to accomplish in that basic process as well. So how do you know what you can put in the orange bag? Well, luckily, Hefty has that covered for you. You can see it on their website, which is specific to this program, heftyrenew.com. They also print it on each of the orange bags that are in the packet that they sell. It's also on the carton that the bags come in. They really don't want you to screw this up, guys. They want you to know what you can stick in this bag and in your recycling. There's also a QR code if you're a QR person. And there's also a list of things that you cannot put in the orange bag, because the instinct is to say, well, now I can recycle a bunch of stuff. I bet I could recycle everything, but that's not how any of this works. And the more contamination we add to the different streams of recycling, the more problematic it becomes, and the quicker these kinds of programs can kind of dissolve into something that doesn't work or isn't effective. Or one of the things that we're going to talk about later is that you can't necessarily do things like make park benches out of them. They might have a different end story, depending on the level of contamination in the products that are collected. So here's a non-exhaustive list of the things that they list on the website of the things that can be put in the orange bag. Basically, it's everything that I laid out to you. In addition, they say that you can put plastic straws and stirrers, which is like a big victory since we're all trying to figure out how to deal with that from an accessibility standpoint or a convenience standpoint. Also styrofoam, dry and wet disposable cleaning cloths, like literally everything that you could think of, even things like bubble wrap, plastic overwraps, and foam, which I know is an extra process thing that a lot of people have to deal with the styrofoam recycling that happens here in Lake County. So this is something that's supposed to eliminate that extra stuff. You can't throw away batteries or electronics. You can't throw away food, liquid, or coffee grounds. You can't throw away cans, glasses, or PVC. That assumes that you understand what PVC is. We're going to get into that a little bit later. And also no plastic bottles, tubs, or PET #1 containers. No paper cartons or boxes, no medical products or hazardous waste, no hoses, tubes, or rope, and no foil lining, or aluminum. And they also want or advise you to throw away things like plastic bags that you get at the grocery store or at Target, if that is not locally available for you to drop off here. And we know that there are a couple places in Highland Park where they do want your plastic bags in bulk. So it's not optimal for you to jam them in your Hefty ReNew bag, but it is accepted if it isn't available in your area or you can't get them to that final stage where they need to go to be disposed of. So what happens to the materials that they collect? Great question. So on the right-hand side is the Hefty end market hierarchy that they determined that they want to have happen with these products that you contribute. And it tops out with mechanical recycling. That's basically the things that I was talking about at the beginning of the presentation. They want to take the plastic that you send in and they want to make it into plastic building materials, outdoor furniture, composite wood products, and that kind of thing. If they can't use it for that, they will make it into sort of an advanced recycling process of plastic to plastic, which on the left-hand side, as you can see, is plastic pellets or nurdles. And then the part that kind of gives me pause that I definitely want to talk about at the bottom is, as a person who really cares about air pollution, this is something that I'm concerned about, is the alternative fuel is basically, they use it as kiln feed for cement production as an alternative to coal. And when you burn plastic, it becomes problematic for the air. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. We've been told, Jenny has spoken more directly to Swalco and the people that work in Lake County for the refuse removal. And the idea would be that things in Lake County are going to be mechanically recycled, which is that top level of end use product. And that will involve cleaning and shredding and melting the plastics to create the new plastics or the plastic pellets or nurdles to manufacture the other products. And I know we had an email into the leaders at the waste disposal facility to see and get reassurance about the idea of burning those plastic products in a kiln to find out whether or not that was in the end game with Lake County in mind. So that's something we're still waiting for an answer on. No, it's not in the end game.
Yeah, they will not have.
Okay, that's good to know. We don't want it shipped off somewhere else where it's going to be burned in somebody else's house, home, yard, but we definitely know that it won't happen here. So the benefits of participation are that it's simple to collect at your house and it's simple to add to your current recycling stream. It's also a minimal additional burden or additional cost for the recycling facility that's already processing your recycling. It's also nice to have the hard to recycle materials collected in one bag instead of loose in the carts or bins, which contaminates are currently affecting our current recycling system. And it also takes programs or it takes materials that aren't typically accepted in recycling, but it uses the same devices that are already out picking up your garbage. So that seems like the same thing as sort of point number one and point number two. So it does a lot of stuff with the systems that exist to create a better system that uses up more plastic in theory. So leave it on that one.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
and I'm gonna turn it over to Jenny to keep going with the presentation for the slide that she has.
Super. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Jenny Futterman from Go Green Highland Park. Can everyone hear me? Super. So, you know, this program is pretty exciting for Highland Park. A lot of my friends had said, oh, Jenny, I got this new recycling thing. You've got to hear about it. Because I'm their eco go-to, which is great. And I'm excited that they want to be recycling right and they want to be doing more than they are. I know I'm in their head talking about waste diversion. You know, the main goal of this program is to keep more things out of our landfill. The landfill that we all use will be full in 3 or 4 years, regardless of, you know, how much we're adding to this program. My point tonight is to encourage everyone to think about waste diversion across all boards beside Hefty. You know, one of the benefits, like Kelly mentioned, is that this is a great option for people who are unable to get to the places where you can drop off your plastic film and things like that, or styrofoam. And, you know, if you have accessibility needs that require single-use items, then this is a solution for you. You know, personally for me, a con would be to have like one more bag to sort things into. It's still up in the air at our house if it's happening. But we're definitely investigating it. And I think that it's really a great step for everyone to be taking as far as looking at what you are getting rid of and how we do get rid of those things. So I'll just add a few other things to think about. And again, this is along the lines of like, let's divert waste in more ways than one, more ways than just recycling plastics or this or that. We're really lucky that LRS already has a really effective recycling center. They recently had an interview, I think it was with CBS, and they showed the process of the recycling facility. It is really great. I've been there. It's very effective, especially when people are following the directions we already have and not contaminating the waste stream with other things. And LRS has really effective, established, proven markets for glass recycling, cardboard recycling, and a lot of plastics already. So in addition to the Hefty program that can help you get rid of this, that, and the other, be thinking when you're out shopping, like, what other things can I be getting for me to use? What other packaging can I look for, and kind of avoid all of this together? Glass and metal, could be recycled infinitely. There's no degradation. So a lot of times with plastics, there's so many different chemicals in all the different types of plastics, from rigid plastics to flexible plastics, that recycling is a lot more complex. And so you almost never can get, like, if you have one milk jug and you shred it up and remake it, you're not going to get a full milk jug out of it because of just bits that are lost in the process. And, there are a lot of people working in the state towards getting extended producer responsibility laws passed, which will help us collect even more things from the landfill, prevent more things. It will support our textile recycling programs, the electronic recycling programs. So, you just want to make sure that this won't be a reason that, certain laws that might keep a lot of other things out of landfill might not be passed. So it's a great program, and just make sure it's right for your family. I think a lot of people know about this single-use plastics and what they are. And this is kind of about like why they're hard to recycle. So a single-use product is something that, is usually made to be used once, whether it's plastic, whether it's wooden, whether it's anything. A lot of the plastic ones are made from fossil fuels. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of different components, so the recycling is very complex. And there have been studies, that we're still not quite sure of all the effects of plastic products on our health and bodies and exposure to them. And the recycling methods are new and emerging, so we don't have as long-term studies on what those facilities bring. But like Kelly mentioned, Hefty in Lake County will not be burned. I actually worked on the Citizen Advisory Committee for Swellcoat's 5-year update, and that was one thing we brought up was, we know we don't want burning plastic in Lake County, so that's not happening. So that can't happen with the program. And as far as for this program, we said we want to keep it mechanical recycling, plastic to plastic. That is the best for the environment as far as the current processes. And it's just a little more transparent, and it takes more high quality plastics and keeps them into more usable items afterwards. And I think everyone kind of sees the environmental health, marine impacts. We've all seen the sea turtle and things like that, which is still sad. So, if we are taking a while to fill up the orange bag, maybe you have the orange bag, maybe you don't, I don't know, but maybe you don't want it. Again, I'm here to push reuse and just not single use anything, kind of. So here's a couple examples of sustainable swaps. We all have the shopping bags that you can use. My tip is fill one big bag with a lot of little bags, and then if you have produce bags, just have one massive freezer Trader Joe's zipper bag full of all your bags and carry it to anywhere you go. I've used, and especially in places that do have a bag ban, you might need a bag for your shoes or something, wherever you are. Whatever's in Northbrook Court, just down the way. They don't take the bags down there. So, plastic foam plates, real dishes, uncoated paper, even just plain old paper plates. You can put those in your curbside compost from LRS. So, you're going to have everybody over and you're going to have a big barbecue, and you don't even own enough dishes to help everyone. But there are compostable options that you can look for. And if you're in Highland Park, Deerfield, or a lot of these communities, you can just take all that stuff and put it right in your compost bin, as long as it's, certified compostable. no bag necessary, or you can use a compostable bag, which you might already have. Plastic wrap, there's beeswax wrap, which is pretty nice. It's just cold water to rinse it off and warm hands to get it to stick to things. Silicone covers that stretch over all of your things. That's a great way to replace plastic wrap. All the food bags, you know, if you can, try to buy loose or buy in bulk. Take your bags. Pre-COVID, I'll admit I need to get back into it. Pre-COVID, I would take a container to the deli at Jewel and I would hand them my container and they would put my deli products in it and just put the sticker on top. So, and there's a law in Illinois that legally you are allowed to bring a container to be refilled to almost everywhere. So, you know, look that up or try it out. Again, just add more things to your bring everything bag. Online shopping, I don't do that much because I'm personally just really bad at it and have no self-control. But I've learned that on Amazon, you can look for the frustration-free packaging, which is supposed to just send items in their original packaging or without the extra boxes. You're apparently able to start a chat on Amazon and ask that all your orders be filled with fewer materials and less packaging. I don't know if that's true. Shop small. You know, if you are shopping online, a lot of people can't afford like big boxes and extra weight and extra everything. And you know, shopping small is always good. And take out food. You know, you call up and you're ordering food because you're just so tired, and you say, I don't need sauce packets. I don't need cutlery. I don't need any of this, especially if you're going to go and pick it up and eat it at home. Like, I really don't want to sit at home and eat with a plastic fork. So that's really easy. Or kind of remember like which restaurants you go to, who's using what for packaging, and, you know, thank those people. If they're using something that's more easily recyclable or less bulky or, you know, is, you know, not hard to get rid of, then continue to eat and shop there and thank them for that. And then grocery orders. I have a friend who orders it all online and goes to pick it up. She just says no bags and she gets there with her own shopping bags, loads it up how she wants it in her car and drives off. So, you know, there's a lot, like I said, I'm here mostly to, let's just try to reuse as much as we can. Let's look for other ways to get things out of the landfill. If you haven't been to Swalco's website, they have a way to recycle almost everything or divert everything. They have so many great programs going on. So, you know, beside keeping these hard to use plastics out and the Hefty bag and the composting, there's really a lot of ways that we can keep our landfill open longer or just not use it that much because it's kind of gross. This was, you know, just a lot of fun alternatives to reduce plastics and have more reusables in your life. I can put this up later. And I think that's about it. Do we need our contact or not? Did you want to go back on something?
No, but there's one more thing that I did want to add. So just to be abundantly clear, we live in a really great place for waste removal. And I learned that from you because Jenny is my garbage lady. I don't mean that in a rude way. I mean that in a very nice way because every question I ever have about waste goes to Jenny, usually through Jay, but then it ends up with Jenny. But it's because we are really lucky in Highland Park to have a Swalco and to have them be cognizant of what our needs are in terms of composting, in terms of recycling, in terms of understanding what we want as a community for sustainability and how to have longevity in our landfills and how to divert things from the landfills. And do I personally, based on my many years of experience in the environmental, as a person who's had a job in the environmental world, think that Hefty's program is a little bit of greenwashing? Yeah, I sure do. But it also is doing all those things that we said it was going to do, which is forcing you to look at your waste, forcing you to understand what goes where, because there are a lot of people that just chuck stuff in their recycling and say, hope it ends up where it's supposed to, who very recently didn't even understand that you're not supposed to put the plastic Target bags and Heinen's bags in the recycling. So if this allows those people to have that executive function to go, oh, wait, I gotta not do this, then that is excellent. That's an excellent product. The beef that I personally have with that end product is the same beef that I have with all the garbage that we create on this planet. And that is, I don't want it to end up in my backyard. I don't want it to end up in somebody else's backyard and be on fire and add particulate matter and create worse greenhouse gas emissions on our planet. And I don't want it to just be an easy way to shove things to the side and forget that we actually need to do the things that Jenny says to reduce plastic and pass laws where we can bring reusable containers to stores and things like that. So if I sound cynical, it's only because I've worked an environmental job for 10 years and I feel a little cynical about it, but it's also something that gives me hope that for whatever reason, larger corporations are looking at the end game for our plastic products, and they understand that that's because that we want to look at the end game for our plastic products because we want to live in a sustainable way on a planet that it's the only planet we got. So we got to figure out how to do it better. And I do think that this is an attempt at trying to do it better. And it's really cool to be able to share this information with you all, because by us sharing this information, and this is where we get into like what I do for a living, which is advocacy. So my background and career is in advocacy. I used to do environmental advocacy. Now I work for the American Heart Association doing health advocacy. But the point of learning this stuff is, and I used to actually work for the Central Park Zoo when I lived in New York City, and we used to do environmental theater. And at the end of every show, we were always talked about what you could do to save the environment. And the thing that you can always do to save the environment is tell this information to a friend, right? So the more information we know, the more we can spread it around and share it, the more we better understand what's happening, so that we can share it with the communities, so that we can be more proactive and take control of the environment that we want to create for ourselves. Which is why I'm really glad that y'all are here, because you're curious enough about it to want to find out more. And I think that one of the things to think about as we decide for our own families whether or not we want to use this program, or whether we were just super excited about it, or whether we're kind of trepidatious about it, is that kind of questions and issues that Jenny and I brought up to you today are the kind of things that you should be asking for all the things that are in your life. You know, like if this doesn't happen in our community, is it going to go somewhere else that's going to put someone else on the back foot? If it doesn't happen here, could it cause a problem somewhere else, or something like that? And I think about the advocacy that we do here that we're really great at, because we have the privilege to have the time and space to make a lot of noise for the world that we want to create. And using those muscles to continue to make that noise in places where we can have connection to corporations that are trying to do programs like that and say, great job, keep up the good work, or hey, make sure that you don't go to a neighborhood and burn this in a kiln so that the plastic pollution is worse there, or something like that. So this is all just stuff that can marinate in your brain and that you can think about, and you can go stop on the way home if you want. Apparently they sell these bags at Jewel. I've heard they sell them at Sunset. I know that Hefty's working on placing them in the community. I think the program started in October, November, August, something like that. Last fall. So it is around, and they're flying off the shelf. So if you want them, you can definitely look at them and find them. But I think the next thing we kind of wanted to do is kind of have a conversation with you to see if there are any either questions about the information we presented, questions about anything that kind of came up as we talked about this today, or anything that you might want to know about some of the sort of plastics information and some of the things that Jenny knows about waste. I'm sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Well, I'm not a professional in any industry at all. I've just done some research, and I certainly can help people find resources if I can't answer questions.
Yes. Oh, also, Austin, if anybody has a question virtually, you can let us know too. So.
Okay, so I actually don't have a question, but I actually use the program. And I was not a fan when I first heard of it. I actually told Jay, I hate this. This is terrible. And the reason I thought that was because we tell everybody, don't put plastic bags in the recycling bin. And here we are putting a plastic bag in the recycling bin. But I thought I'd give it a chance because I have 3 huge bags of styrofoam peanuts that I couldn't get rid of. So I'm like, well, at least I can get rid of those styrofoam peanuts, right? Mm-hmm. So I went on the Highland Park website and I got the starter kit, which includes a free bag and the list of all the things you can and can't put in there. And I started just collecting some things in my kitchen. And I'm very green. I'm a Go Green person, and I don't have, you know, I don't use plastic bags at the store. I mean, I think I'm pretty green. But when I started collecting the stuff, there was a lot. And I was shocked at how much stuff I could have been recycled, that I can now recycle that I couldn't recycle before. Most of it's food bags, but I actually brought my garbage with. This is my third bag. And so it's just really been eye-opening for me to collect this material and put it in the bags. Are there downsides? Probably. But what I did was I bought one of the boxes of the bags at the Jewel. They were $10 for 20 bags, so they're 50 cents a piece. And I thought, well, this is gonna take a long time to use up. So actually, I'm sharing them with a group of friends, so we don't all buy them at the same time. But I found there's just a ton of stuff in here that was going into the garbage before. So just saying, it does work.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I think you can take your peanuts back to the UPS stores that they usually, in the past, they've always taken mine. So if you don't wanna fill up your valuable 50-cent bags with those, you can take them. And also, doesn't the Highland Park recycling take styrofoam also? If you don't wanna fill up your bags with a ton of styrofoam.
They can't take peanuts.
They don't take peanuts.
No, but styrofoam.
Yeah, regular
Yeah,
styrofoam,
so if we
yes.
don't wanna like use the space in our bags for styrofoam, and again, I do think UPS takes the peanuts back.
Also,
Right.
we have a free box where people will take anything. So if you want to get rid of your peanuts, people put packing material on there all the time and everyone's always moving. So go ahead and list your stuff on our free box group
That's a
too.
Facebook.
That's a
It's
Facebook group.
group, a local Facebook group. Yeah, I agree to Andrea's point. I just wanted to kind of circle back on that it really, the program really raises awareness of like how much plastic you just can't get out of your life. So, you know, if nothing else, I think people are looking at stuff and being like, okay, so if this is the next step they need to take to try to reduce some of that in their life, awesome. Whatever, however it works for you, that's the end goal.
So I got the box of the box and it has slightly different information than what we got on the website.
Oh.
It suggests that you tie the bag
Mhm.
to your recycling container. It looks like the Highland Park information suggests you put the bag inside. I just wanted to make sure that it's not just gonna get dumped because they don't always have to get out of the truck.
Right,
Sometimes the arms can pick the thing up, so
It's my understanding that the bag goes directly into the bin, yes, but definitely tie it up and then that keeps things from getting out of it and contaminating the other recyclables. So make sure it's tied up tight and then all that stuff stays in there for them to take.
So they separate it out when it gets to the end stage facility at the MRN, right?
Right, so it rides along, it's, you know, you put it in your blue bin at the curb, it flips in, it's riding along there, it gets taken out to the regular recycling facility that LRS takes everything to, dumped out, and then the orange bags get pulled out and separated somewhere else, and then Hefty will come in and take them away. So, you know, the driver doesn't have to do anything extra. There's a minimal extra sorting step at the facility for LRS. As long as the bags stay tied or don't rip open and, you know, flexible plastic flies all over a bin.
well, that is kind of worry. And then there were a few things that I wasn't sure about, like oftentimes you get produce like 4 avocados in a mesh bag or apples or something like that. Is that an item that's plastic? I don't believe that can go in with plastic bags when you take them back to the grocery.
No,
Is
like the
that
avocado
like-
bags, yeah, they can't go into the grocery store plastic film
What, can
recycling.
that go into the Hefty?
It's a good question.
That's a good question.
I don't see it on the list, but I don't know.
Andrea?
I have a lot of questions about things that I'm not 100% sure of. And is there a place or a number or an email or something that we can, some resource that we can ask? So on my list are, which I don't usually get, but once in a while somebody will give me a bottle of wine, but you know, those net bags that go on a bottle
Yes.
of wine? Those are bad, the avocado bags or the clementine bags, those I'm questioning. Dental floss containers, can you take those? Can you take the caps from your toothpaste? I don't know, you can't put the tube in, but you could maybe use the caps. I have a lot of questions and I'm not sure where to go with those. You guys have an idea?
Erin?
Yeah, hi, I'm Erin, sorry I'm late. Austin, is your email available at this meeting? If not, can we just have a list, write down the questions, we'll give you Austin is the city's sustainability manager. We don't have those exact answers for you tonight either, but we can direct connect with the program leads at Hefty as well as with Swalco to get clarification on those, and then we'll include those on our website and share them out. If you share your email with us, we'll share them out with you, those responses.
That would be good, because I've been worried that if you put stuff in that they don't want, can't take, and I'm not talking about food or
Right.
aluminum foil or
Sure.
but other plastic items, is that gonna either damage the program or, do something that ends up discouraging them
Right.
from wanting to continue?
Right,
And there
contaminated or.
are really a lot of items when you get right down to
Right.
it, like the little caps. If you ever buy boxed wine, you can recycle the box easily. It's a double layer plastic bag inside.
Yeah.
What about the plastic spigot? I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
a lot of things that in theory, I look at them and I think they should be recyclable,
Mhm.
but.
Right, and this, I mean, this just kind of is the full display of how complex and challenging plastics recycling is and can be. Even just trying to get it right, you're a good person, you're trying to do the right thing. And that's the other point of this program, is most people who are participating in it are already really pretty good at recycling or trying. So, there's generally a pretty low rate, I would say, of contamination for this program, because most people are already thinking about what's going on. And again, this information I got from Hefty is, they said it did not really increase wish cycling in communities where people just start throwing anything into the bin now because they think it's accepted. They claim it did not increase wish cycling in areas any more than it already happens, which is pretty
I've never
prevalent.
heard that saying, wish cycling. Is that when you just hope somebody will take care of it if you chuck it away?
It's when you throw in one of these items that it's plastic, it looks kind of like it should be recycled.
Yeah.
And so you chuck it in because it looks like it should be recycled. So
Well-
this bag is the perfect place for wish cycles.
And
You
like I
know?
pointed out when we were going through the demonstration, it even says on here, it's like, you can't put pet number 1 containers. Well, you have to know where to look and how to look for pet number 1 containers. And if you don't, then that's on you, right? Because Hefty's assuming that you understand how to identify the kind of plastic that you have. So there are definitely barriers to entry for the basic user. But like Jenny said, typically someone who's taken the time to do this knows to do their homework to understand what exactly they need to do to put it in the bag. So
And come here and ask questions like, what about those bags?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about those
What about
weird,
dumb mesh
those
things?
weird mesh things like?
And if they have a piece of metal on it, do I need to cut the metal off? Like all those things, like those are very good questions.
So my question is, to recycle, you have to have somebody who wants to buy it.
Right.
So what assurance do we have that there's buyers for all these things?
Oh, yeah.
Right, that is, that probably is more of a question for Swelco, and I don't know if the city wants to say anything about that, but again, like we pushed very hard to have it strictly mechanical recycling, which generally is supposed to yield a more durable, usable product like the Trex stacking and things like that. So that's one of the goals of the Lake County program, is to try to keep it from maybe sifting down, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would just concur with what Jenny has said. This is something that we researched on our end, but just make sure that this is actually, and Swalco, who we are members of as a community, they did a real deep dive. Because they don't like to endorse anything that they don't feel we're not getting to the end of the line in the best possible use, possible, most efficient use of these products. And we've all seen, the Dateline things where it's like, where did this recycling actually go? And things of that nature. So to make sure that, as Jenny mentioned, the majority, like large majority, they already have into that first top tier, right? So we're actually like the upside down pyramid here in a good way, in terms of this program.
I will say just off the top, I have spoken with LRS about this program, and I know that some of the material going to facility in Minnesota is turning into benches and whatnot, so there is a end supplier for some of the material already. So I can at least in my discussions with LRS and Swellco say that it's at least some material down the line.
I will say this, from what I understand from talking to Aaron and from talking to Austin and Jenny, and the conversation we had about it when I was on the sustainability advisory group, is that exactly what Aaron and Austin have said. The conversations with Swalco were really deep, and they did a lot of really important work on their end to advocate for what we typically have wanted historically in Lake County and what we want as a community. And so if you do end up taking the wayward path to the Hefty ReNew website and go on a deep dive from what they're doing with this program nationally, you are going to see paths where they are using it as an alternative fuel in some markets. You're going to see paths where they're using it plastic to plastic in some markets. And that is so it isn't all going to end up there, which to me feels like it increases the likelihood for feeling confident that the stuff that we are creating here will end up where we hope it ends up, because the entirety of their program isn't ending up in that particular bucket. As much as it distresses me that there are end stage hierarchy products in other communities that are ending up being burnt in cement kilns, because that's the decision that their community has made. So that's one thing that, like, if you're like, oh, I want to know more from Hefty's point of view, if you go on the website, you will see that they have a lot of information about where they're doing it and what's happening to it. But here we do know that there's a confirmation that we know it'll end up with, they have people that are interested in receiving the product to create those composite materials. So.
And Swalco, again, like I said, I was on the Citizen Advisory Committee for the 5-year update for Swalco and the solid waste plan. And you know, me and another Go Green leader were concerned about the plastics, and Swalco was 100% responsive to all of our concerns. They slowed down, they got the answers to the questions we asked. You know, county board members are still communicating just to be on top of it. And, you know, Hefty was, you know, we were informed that, you know, they do have a check-in, you know, it's a quarterly or annual or, you know, every so often they're supposed to report back to the communities with the results they're finding. So there are some checks that are happening on the program, and I feel very confident that Swalco is still looking out for us. And, you know, it's a trial program, you know, so, you know, and I think that if you had more concerns, you could reach out to the county board members, or you could reach out to Swalco, and they certainly would help find some answers.
And Aaron, is this jurisdiction county board, or would a person in Highland Park want to come to the city if they have a concern about the program?
Start with us.
Okay.
Start with us, please.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right, because the program is, you know, so it's accepted by the municipality.
Oh,
so,
okay. I got it.
like, she's the first rung.
All right. You heard Jenny. Go for Aaron.
Or maybe Austin's.
Oh, it's gonna be
email.
Austin that's gonna answer the first email.
Yes.
We all know it is.
Yeah, if you have sustainability questions or anything like that, I've had experience in Illinois across federal and state, so I'm ready for any types of questions. I almost heard everything.
Super.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions about the Hefty ReNew program?
Were there any online questions?
Oh yeah, did
There is
anything?
Pete H. Randy's with Swalco, and I'll see if we can get this. try to see if we can get this working. Let me see if Pete is available.
While we're waiting for Pete to potentially add as a comment, since we have a lot of sustainability people in this room, does anybody have any questions about other sustainability issues that we're working on in Highland Park, or anything relating to, you know, the Swalco LRS program in addition to Hefty, or anything like that?
Or waste diversion?
Waste diversion?
I have a question.
Can you hear me now?
Knowing that they do take like thin film grocery bags and styrofoam, is it better to still take those to the grocery store and to the drop off on 22?
Yeah. Yeah, because they won't be sorted. You don't have to pay to drop those off, so that's free. And then like the plastic film, they have their guidelines. I'm sure they have contamination, but you know, that they're not sorting out forks or things, so they're getting exactly what they want. And the styrofoam, again, they're getting exactly what they want. So it's more effective, especially in Highland Park, since we have those options, to, still do those drop-offs if you're able to. But if
Can you guys still, can you hear me?
you can go in there technically, right?
I think
Does it
people
have
on, I think
Because they
people
don't
on.
And the peanuts, to Andrea's point, if somehow you get a bazillion packing peanuts, then check it out. And always make sure
Can
the
anybody
peanuts
hear
are
me?
actually styrofoam, because some of them are made out of cornstarch, and if you get them wet, they just dissolve. So if you're not sure, run
I
it
think
under
only
water
the
and see if it
participants
disintegrates.
on the Zoom can hear me. Oh,
Stick it in your
so
mouth. Just kidding.
I'm-
Don't stick it in
I'm
your mouth.
I'm gonna withhold my comments unless they can add me to everybody.
What is that?
But we'll get answers for you.
Oh, I don't know, is it the compost, is it actually being used within the city or? Has it been
Well,
successful?
every year, well, what, 2 years, 3 years? 2 years? This will be our 3rd year. We have worked really hard with Swalco in the city to have a huge truckload of all the compost brought back into town. So the Park District gives us a corner of the parking lot, and then it'll be, I think, May 9th or something this year. Everyone can come and bring your bucket, and you get to take your bucket of compost and take it home and spread it around. I have been emailing the city for years, asking them to include compost in infrastructure projects and things like that. I mean, that is a challenge for the compost industry as it's becoming more successful, especially with more waste haulers taking in food scraps. There's compost to be had, but the end market is still struggling. And I think that municipalities can have a huge play in that, advancing that market. And I mean, especially in our areas, like the flood mitigation and the soil absorption and all the other great components that compost adds, and, reduction of fertilizers and everything. Like it's a win-win across the board, especially if we're educating people to keep that compost stream clean. If we're keeping the contamination out of the compost, out of the food scraps, and, big problems in that are, plastic cutlery or cutlery that looks like plastic, but it's compostable. If you're going to do compostable products, have it look like wood or like paper, like that looks more like actual natural stuff. It's more likely to break down faster. And if you're unsure, if you scratch like a plate or something and it leaves a little line through it, it's probably got a coating on it that really won't be broken down very well. So, we have a pretty successful composting program, and I don't really know the actual participation numbers, but if you drive around town, there's a lot of carts out every day, so that's good news in my book.
It's really interesting. At the last compost giveaway, I was actually in the compost most of the time, helping people. So I got to look at the quality of the compost, and it was really good quality, but there were some real weird things in there that, I picked up, and I had a little pile going. There were like tubes that were made out of metal, tubes that's like, I don't know, what kind of medicine or something. So there were just things in there that people had thrown into their compost bins that ended up in the final product, and they were easy enough to get away. But it was interesting to see the contaminants that showed up. But otherwise, it was really high quality. It was very black compost. It was, we had a hard time. People wanted it real bad.
Popular. It was very popular.
It was very popular.
Was someone over here saying something?
Any other question? Any word from
Did we?
Trying to see, if I can get this, but he's saying just to follow up later, and with the issues with that,
The little mesh bags.
yeah,
and stuff.
I provided my email in the chat, so anybody who's online, just send me emails to that address. I'll make sure that you're able to get answers as far as any questions, comments, or any follow-ups. That's the same to anybody here. The recording should be available at some point in the next few weeks. So if you have any questions, just reach out to me. I can provide you my contact information if you need it. But
And also, all people are listed on, people who work for the city are on the website, the Highland Park website, right? Like you could find.
Correct. What I was gonna suggest for folks who are in this room right now I know Go Green has a table out front with like a sign-in sheet, you could flip one of those over, if you have, like, I know. A couple of you already have like the wine spigot, the avocado bag, etc., things that you're thinking of. If you could, or if you're interested in getting the responses, if you could give us your emails. Instead of having to think about all the things you have questions on tonight, Austin will send up by the end of business on Friday, an email to all of you, so you have his contact information, just requesting, here, please send me in. You know, all the items that you've thought about.
Yeah.
That way, we're not missing anything, and it's not like, oh gosh, I had the opportunity and I forgot to ask about this, but then we can do a comprehensive list that we share direct with Hefty and Swalco for clarification.
And I guarantee if you're thinking about it, everyone else is thinking about it.
Well, if a list is generated, it would be great to have that on the city newsletter.
Yeah.
With an update so that people know what kinds of things can go in.
Yeah, here's a bunch of weird stuff we found out, you guys. You can do this, this, and this. Like, that's really helpful to know. I would want that information. For sure. Does anybody else have anything? We're happy to answer any questions. Jay, I know that you guys are planning, this is an ongoing speaker series. I know that there's going to be another one coming up. I don't know if there's any decisive decisions yet about what's coming next or when it'll be, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity to say something if you wanted. Not forcing you, just
Jay Futterman, I'm on the Sustainability Advisory Group, husband of Jenny up there. So we're gonna be doing more of these speaker series type events. One probably in the spring or early summer will also be focused on recycling. And kept referring to Swalco and how they have all these resources for how you can avoid throwing things in the landfill. So they have a website that's up and running that it's still kind of getting some of the kinks worked out, but once we feel it's really ready for prime time, we're going to have another speaker series focused on that and an update on the Hefty program as well. So stay tuned, and we'll be back here in a few months.
And I also would like to add, Go Green Highland Park will be back here in 1 week. We have a program, it's digital diet for carbon reduction. So, you know, you've got things all over the cloud. You've got text change, you've got emails, you've got social media, you've got Netflix, you've got who knows what. You've got a bazillion things in your life that connect you to the ether, and it's it all costs carbon and carbon storage, and you know, it's not free to the planet to have all of these technological I don't know, loads everywhere. So come in next week. This one we're only going to be doing in person. It's our first go around. And it's going to be kind of hands-on. So if you bring your phone, we'll walk you through kind of starting to get rid of some of that stuff. And, you know, we'll be looking for feedback on maybe a follow-up. And we'll hopefully be moving it to a virtual program in the future. But for this round, next week, it's 7 o'clock here at the library in this room again. And it's going to be a great meeting full of lots of information. So
I'm glad you said that. I was going to kick it to you next. Are you going to talk about how much water AI resources use?
Not how much water, but how much energy.
How much energy?
Oh, I heard it was water. I didn't know it was. I'm sure it was also energy.
It's both.
Yeah, I mean.
And
she's
Bitcoin
got
mining,
she's
all
got
that
some
stuff.
Statistics. She didn't do Bitcoin mining. I've seen the presentation, so I've already seen it. But I was flabbergasted and fascinated. So yeah, AI takes like, I don't know how many times more energy than our current stuff. Yeah,
Cool.
that's a lot.
Well, I really appreciate everybody coming. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. You know where to find us if you need us. Definitely reach out to the city if you have any more questions, or Jenny's available at Go Green Highland Park. And we hopefully will see you at the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Continue.
To be continued.